Good evening, everyone, and welcome out to Speed Racing Network, where we proudly present the Tricky 185 here at the Tricky Triangle in Pocono. My name is Sean Griffith. I am here with Brandon Domain. Brandon, how's it going tonight, buddy?
Oh, it is good. Surrounded by racing tonight. We got the SRN race. We got the Cup Series going in Darlington for real as well. Great night of racing all of a sudden here. Can't wait to see how these guys in the Cup Series for us do navigating Pocono.
Yeah, usually your broadcast partner tonight is Greg Olenek, but Greg has the wonderful opportunity and fun to be out at Darlington itself, and so he is catching all of that race there. So we do wish him well and hope he's doing well and enjoying himself out there. But, man, here tonight, these Cup drivers are going to have a time out there on this track.
Yeah, and if any indication comes from the earlier races this week, it's going to be a little bit tricky, to pun fully intended, to get around this track, as we saw a lot of cautions. We saw 8 on Wednesday in the Truck Series race, 9 on, or I think I have that backwards, 9 and 8 in those two races, though. So a lot of cautions around here, a lot of it happening in turn 1, actually, with everybody getting into that turn about 4 or 5 wide. My thought was going to be more in turn 2. We'd see a lot more wrecks, but we're seeing a lot early on in this on this track. But hopefully these Cup guys get it figured out.
You know, this is one of those tracks, and obviously it's called the Tricky Triangle for a reason here, but with 3 completely different turns, 3 completely different bankings, 3 completely different adjustments that you have to make in race, it is just so difficult to stay focused for long enough to make those moves. And then when you get a car next to you and you get outside of your normal line, it's all over.
Yeah, and no more so than in turn 2, just because that's the sharpest part, the tunnel turn. Super narrow, really just has that one groove. You can kind of make 2 work if you really work with each other on that, and sometimes you just have to. But turn 1, just it doesn't want to balance out. Turn 3, just this long sweeping turn, all very different, and all drivers are going to have to really sacrifice one of those 3 turns, because you can't really be good at all 3.
No, it's impossible for you to set up a car to be good in all 3 of these, and that's what makes this so much of a driver's track, so much of a fun track to watch, because there's always a weakness, and for whatever reason, it is a lot more fun to watch drivers with weaknesses than it is to watch drivers with a lot of strengths.
Oh, that is very true. I mean, you start seeing, I think the driver errors really make the racing good. If everybody's just running the same speed, the same thing, everything's all the same there. Everybody doesn't make any mistakes. It just, kind of slot cars at that point. So seeing those mistakes, seeing how people navigate these turns in different ways just makes this a real interesting race, should we get some good green flag racing.
And if we do get green flag racing here, then fuel strategy may come into play, because we do have 75 laps here, no fast repairs. So let's say we get a nice long green flag run with some green flag pit stops. These cars can go about 24 to 25 laps, and that's it. And so they might have to think about, should I be clutching it through these turns? What should I do to make it so it's just a 2-stop race?
Yeah, I did a full run earlier today. Obviously, no drafting, nobody around me in it, but just to kind of get the feel of how the car's going to feel and how far you can go. I was getting about 25 and a half laps, so I think you can make it on 2 should this go green the entire way, but you do still have to be smart about that, and you can't just go all out and really just burning up as much fuel as possible. You do have to keep that in check tonight.
Yeah, that and the tire fall off here is actually pretty strong as well. So all sorts of different factors for you to factor in, not the least of which is that there are 3 turns instead of 4, and they're all different. So, I mean, this could be the best track in the world for some racers, but it is the absolute worst track in the world for others.
Yeah, and I feel there's a real kind of a bond there. If you like road course racing, this is probably the oval that you'll really like running, just because of the way that it does kind of act like the road course of ovals, just because of the differences in all the turns, the way that you have to enter, the way that you have to try to drive off, just so many differences than you see from any other oval. So I think a lot of those guys with good road experience really do enjoy running Pocono.
Well, we do have 75 laps to figure it out. This is week number 8 out of 20 weeks. So again, we go to week 13 and then we cut to the top 15 for the playoffs. And so we're getting into that nitty-gritty time here. Fix setup so all the cars are exactly the same. No fast repairs. So I mean, if you get into the wall, then that's going to hurt you for the rest of the race. No saving you from that. Everybody pays $15 a week to get into this thing, but if you take a look, we've got weekly and season-long payouts. That season-long payout for first place, $1,000. So definitely worth your money, worth your time to get in here and have a good time at Speed Racing Network.
Yeah, and obviously, these are our most qualified drivers in terms of the iRating, so the money going to be a little bit higher coming out, a little bit higher going in as well. But we do have that 5-person team championship as well. There's some money on the line with that, as well as those weekly payouts. So a whole lot of ways to make a little side cash here through SRN.
Yeah, we're going to meet all the teams here in just a little while, but let's take a look at this race payout. So if you're in the top 5, the one thing that we do here at Speed Racing Network, it does not matter if there are 40 drivers on the track or 5 drivers on the track. We're going to pay out the top 5. And so the top 5 here, first place will get $45, second place gets $30, third, fourth, and fifth each get their money back, and that doesn't sound like a big deal until you want to drive that next week.
Yeah, there's some drivers that just pay it all up front and can pocket that money. But if you're going week to week, just paying those fees as you go, it's just one less thing to worry about. You just put that money to next week's race if you get the top 5. And honestly, you pick up a couple wins like we've seen with James Holzer, Landon Lacey. You're talking nearly $100 from 2 races alone. And not counting any other second, third, fourth, fifth place finishes. So they're adding up that money pretty quickly if you start consistently running in the top 5.
Yeah, then you get into the season-long playoffs. So, again, the top 15 get in. But once we get down to it, we're going to pay out the top 8 there. $1,000 for first place. Hey, even second place is going to get a nice $600 back. Then $350 for third, $200 for fourth. And then on the right side there, fifth place, $125. And then new this year, we're paying out 6th, 7th, and 8th also. So even if you don't make the final 5 for that very last race, you still have a shot at money.
Yeah, still have a shot, still have a lot to race for in that final week once we get to Atlanta, where those 5 drivers that were just away from missing out on that or getting into that championship 5, they'll still have a shot at some money as well, and that little bit of a consolation prize, which is still very nice as well. And if you finish in the top 3 at the end of the season, you're making in the season payout alone more than all the money that you put in if you ran all 20 races over the season.
Yeah, and that's just really, really strong. And we do have a lot of really great drivers out here, but man, that money attracts those good drivers. And so that's why we've got that. But if you want to become a better driver, then you got to get yourself a sim coach. And that guy is Kane Cook. He is one of the best in the business at coaching and at driving. He is up in the Coca-Cola series, the top series on iRacing. He's racing for $300,000. So our little $1,000 league is not quite good enough for him to drive. And so just a fantastic driver, known for starting in the back and working his way up front.
Well, one thing that if he did want to run in the series, you look at that iRating, 74-14. That iRating a little too high to be running in our series because we do cap that out. But just that rating alone just tells you how good he is. And he's done that twice on each of his accounts, over 7,000 in an iRating. And that's really, once you get to an iRacing, they get called aliens, just drivers that are just way better than most people on the server. And he is definitely one of those and one of the best at working his way through the field. Likes doing that Matt Kenseth style deal where you just kind of don't really nail qualifying, but once the race comes, you're one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, and that's really where you got to figure it out. You got to figure it out on the track around all those other guys. But if you just want to learn the secrets of iRacing and the way to get around this track a little bit better, save those tires a little bit better, get your long run speed, your short run speed, everything, you can get on to speedracingnetwork.com, book some time with one of the best, Kane Cook, and he will definitely show you those secrets. And I mean, I know we've got a few drivers in the Xfinity series, especially Greg Olenek leading the point series or the point standings there. He goes back to Kane Cook religiously on a weekly basis.
Yeah, and you mentioned saving tires and things like that. I think one of the best things I got from Kane and working with him over the offseason, just putting together that long run. And I feel like as time has gone by, that was a weakness of mine in the trucks last season. Think that's become something I've gotten a lot more comfortable with here in the Xfinity series, and I give Kane a lot of credits for that.
Definitely. Now, we also have some charity races coming up. One of those is the Battle of the Teams. It's the Revved Up for the Cause charity race brought to you by Sparkle and Shine and R&D Motorsports and a lot of other sponsors there. It's going to be a lot of fun. It is this Saturday, September the 11th. So the race is actually going to start at 9:30 p.m. Eastern. We will be broadcasting it here on Speed Racing Network. be sure to get those donations in. We'll have a link to donate a little bit later, a QR code that you can scan to donate, and all of these proceeds go to Sadie, a little girl with cancer that their family needs some help to pay those doctors, pay those bills, help out a little bit there. So if you would like to donate anything to that worthy cause, please do so, but do not miss out on this race because there's going to be a lot of prizes on the track as well as some viewer prizes as well.
Yeah, I know last season when we did this at Daytona, we had some great raffle items that were out there. I know there was a helmet and all kinds of stuff that was being contributed, that was being given away in those raffles, and great cause. I know last season helped out quite a lot when we did this at Daytona. Hopefully we can recreate that here at Talladega. So if you're able to do so, please take the little extra time and use that QR code we'll show here later in the race and help out.
Definitely. Now let's move on to our beer of the week, sponsored by Beer Street Journal. We've already had 2 pumpkin spice beverage reviews in the past 3 weeks, so we thought that we were done with that flavor. But just when you thought you've seen pumpkin spice everything as fall rolls around, just wait. Bud Light has come out with their pumpkin spice hard seltzer, and it hits the shelves on September the 6th. This hard seltzer mimics Starbucks' infamous pumpkin spice latte, featuring flavors of pumpkin, cinnamon, nutmeg, and vanilla. Now, if that's not enough for you, Bud Light is also coming out with toasted marshmallow, maple pear, and apple crisp flavors just in time for the fall season. And it wouldn't be complete without putting those beverages into flannel patterned cans. It sounds like Bud Light wanted to jump in on the pumpkin spice market before it went away for another year. So drop by your local supermarket beginning September 6th and check out all of these fall flavors. The Beer of the Week is sponsored by Beer Street Journal, the leading online publication for craft beverage reviews. Go to beerstreetjournal.com to find your next great beer. And as always, you must be 21 to enjoy, and please drink responsibly. That's right. The beer of the week this week is a nationwide brand. So go out there, get that Bud Light seltzer, and enjoy those 4 flavors. So pumpkin spice, maple pear, and apple crisp flavor, as well as a toasted marshmallow. So a lot of interesting flavors going on there, but definitely check those out before they are gone for the season.
Yeah, and it might not have been the seltzer, but definitely enjoyed some of the Bud Light product yesterday playing golf, and not sure how the seltzer is going to go. Not too much of a big seltzer guy, but I might have to give that a shot with at least one of those flavors. Yeah,
my golf game can only get better with alcohol inside of me. So let's move on to check out our standings here. James Holter with a commanding lead, and really, if you look at this top 15 here, 5 of those are Next Level Motorsports. So the entire team is inside the cut right now, firmly inside the cut, so they are definitely being dominant this season.
And honestly, you look at that, there's only 4 teams represented in that top 15. You have all 5 next level drivers, you have 3 tank drivers, 3 revved drivers, and that's 3 Murray Reedy Smith road racing drivers. Those 4 teams have just been dominant all season long.
Yes, they have. Now, outside the cut, still a lot of drivers that are right there near that cut line. So David Duke being one of them that said this week that he feels really fast this week. I don't see him out on the track yet. Oh, actually, yes, I do. I apologize. I do see him out there. So going to be interesting to see what he does, what Emerson Ardon does right there on the cut line. So a lot of these drivers have a chance to get in. They just have to get a few more good finishes.
Yeah, and 6 races left in the regular season, counting tonight. Still a little bit of time to make that push as we got the second half of the regular season starting tonight.
All right, well, let's take a look at the team standings here. Next Level Motorsports, again, with that dominant performance because all 5 of them in that top 15. So obviously they're up front by a wide margin, but all of this is just for seeding purposes. So if they are still number 1 after that 13 weeks, they'll get that bye into the second round of the team playoffs, but they still don't win a team championship unless they win the entire playoff.
Yeah, much like in real life now with NASCAR, you got to follow through all the way through the playoff to actually get that title. Behind them right now it would be Tank versus Ramsey Cole Racing, Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing versus Stryker, and then Revved versus R&D if it finishes right now.
Well, let's jump in and introduce some of these drivers and teams before they are done with qualifying. Only a few minutes here, so we'll start off with Next Level Motorsports, and this is the all-star team right now, and they kind of came together last second because of a rebranding. And so James Holzer leading the way there in the points. But Landon Lacey has won 2 of the past 3 races. Timothy Latham can win at any moment. Nick Gowen has been super strong. And Gabriel Ellison, one of the most consistent drivers out there. So this is the team to beat out there right now. But right on their heels, I don't know, you got Tank Racing.
Yeah, Tank Racing with one of the best intro graphics out there, but they also have one of the best seasons going across all 3 series. Their Xfinity team has been doing great, as well as their Cup team. And here we have the 7 of Joshua Balliet, the 17 of Reese Schaefer, 57 of Emerson Ardon, who's just outside the cut, Seth Berger in the 77, and Max Service in the 81. And Schaefer and Berger have really been leading the charge, but these have been all 5 strong drivers.
Yeah, but right on their heels is Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing, another team that kind of meshed together mid-season, but just an incredible lineup of drivers here, including Austin Reedy, including Kyle Benson, Scott Healy, who was last season's champion, Craig Lautenschlager, John Honeycutt. So really great racers here. John Honeycutt right there on that cut line, just needs a couple good finishes to jump in there. So don't be surprised to see any of these in victory lane before the season's end.
Definitely not. And another team that has a few threats there to make it to victory lane as well is Rev Racing, as we look at their lineup with Byron McDonald in the 3 and his ever-rotating paint schemes. We'll see what he's got tonight. The 23 is Scott Kalal, 36 of Kyle Spees, 73 of Dalton Tucker, and the 99 of Christopher L. Lawrence. And we've seen some good speed out of these guys, just trying to get those finishes that they deserve a little bit more than they've gotten throughout the first 7 races.
Next up, we got R&D Motorsports, and we call them the team from Tennessee, but they have definitely expanded past that with David Duke as their leader out there. And we said a little bit earlier in the broadcast that he felt really, really fast here tonight, and so we will see how that works out for him. But he has surrounded himself by a prior winner, Chad Wampler here at SRN, Brian Mabry, Jordan Sailors, Josh Siegfried. So all of these drivers, again, they get the benefit of that experience from David Duke, who was a former NASCAR official, kind of knows his way around the racing game, but also just the speed that is out there on the track is insanely good.
Very, very good. And speaking of speed, the team whose catchphrase is fast as lightning, Stryker Motorsports, a team that we're both very familiar with as well. And they're another one of those teams that they've had a lot of good speed out there and just kind of got some bad breaks late in some of these races. But they'll have the 05 of Mike Lewis, the 19 of Bo Brady, who has been very strong at times this season, Raul Meza just outside the cut in the 37, Kyle Johnson in the 48, and Joe Ruggles Jr. in the 96.
You know, currently in last place in the standings, but there's a reason for that. This is Ramsey Cole Racing. They only have 3 drivers. Now, if all 3 of those drivers show up every single week, they are going to be contenders, and they are all 3 here tonight. So Russ Bovair, Andrew Lewis, Ty Cole, all 3 of them have had good finishes already this season. It's just they haven't been able to all be on the track at the same time, and that really hurts them in the point standings because they have no wiggle room because they don't have that extra spot out there to make up for a missed week or anything. So that is why they're down in 7th right now, which again, it's just for seeding purposes, but that's going to make their road to the championship very difficult.
Very difficult, but it doesn't eliminate them entirely. Is the 3 scored positions, they can get all 3 there every week in the playoffs and still make a run at it. We also have our independent drivers tonight. We'll have the 8 of Michael Politis, the 14 of Justin Rideout, 33 Devin Zimmerman, 69 of Vincent Cortez, and the 53 of James Shanewool.
Yeah, we're just finishing up qualifying right now. Should be finished right about now. So let's go out there and check out and see how everything went for the Tricky 185 qualifying. And Landon Lacey, last week's winner and winner of 2 of the past 3 races, and one of the stars on Next Level Motorsports, he is out front. Reese Schaefer from Tank Racing, who has been coming on strong in the past few weeks, he's there in 2nd. Devin Zimmerman, his teammate technically, but tonight he's running as an independent, there in 3rd. And Timothy Latham, another Next Level Motorsports driver, there in 4th.
In row number 3, we'll have Nick Gowen, who had a great finish to the season last year in the Xfinity Series, really starting to build some momentum here in the Cup Series as well. He'll be in 5th. Vincent Cortez from the Xfinity Series will be starting in 6th. Row 4, points leader James Holzer will be starting in 7th, with Seth Berger one of the very fast tank racing drivers on the outside in 8th.
Keep an eye out for David Duke there from R&D Motorsports there in 9th. Emerson Ardon, I was joking with him today and said, hey, man, should I pick you? And he just laughed about it. But here he is up in 10th place right now. So not too bad for tank racing. Joshua Siegfried from R&D Motorsports up there in 11th. And Scott Kalal from Rev Racing up in 12th. One of our playoff drivers from last season. So definitely strong as well. So, man, 12 great drivers to get us started here. And we are just kind of waiting for everybody to get gridded up and ready to go. Whew, it's going to be a fun night.
Oh, I'm hoping so, and could use it after a long race on Thursday. And there's a lot of benefits that these guys here in the Cup Series will have. You know, I think the cars just handle a little bit better. Think that's going to lead to some better racing tonight than what we had with the lower downforce that you'll see in the Xfinity cars. Made that a little bit treacherous out there, and I'm hoping and thinking that the case tonight is going to be a very different story.
Well, this is a long track, so we have a little bit of time to think about this, but I'm going to let you take the first shot at it. Who you got tonight?
Well, you know, I think it's hard to ignore anybody that's part of the Next Level Motorsports camp right now. You know, they've had a lot of the wins here in the last few weeks between Lacey and Holzer. I'm going to go with one of their other drivers, though. I'm going to go with the man starting in 5th place, and that's Nick Gowen in the 88. Just really like his speed. Has been very comfortable and very clean out there on the track. Think that's going to go a long way today, and I think he's going to be the next breakout winner for Next Level.
You know, I'm going to do something a little bit different this week, and so I am not normally a massive fan as far as picking somebody from another series moving up in the world, but this week, for some reason, I've got Devin Zimmerman in my mind. I really think he's got the consistency, and I think he's really good at these Cup cars, even more so than the Xfinity cars. So I think this is really kind of playing into his hands. If we get some good long green flag runs, he knows how to save the tires. He knows how to save his speed. I think he's going to be a contender.
Yeah, and with that, I kind of think back to the All-Star race last year at Indianapolis. He had a great run going for a lot of that. And there's some similarities between Indy and Pocono, not just with Turn 2, but just the way that it's a little bit different everywhere and just the way that you have to get around the track. Not a bad pick there at all for somebody that's moving up from the Xfinity series.
Yeah, he is not going to like the fact that I picked him because we do have a massive broadcaster's curse here at Speed Racing Network. It is a real proven thing that every time we pick somebody or talk about somebody, something happens to them on the track. So I apologize for that up front, but Devin, you're strong, man. I think you can get through it.
Yeah, somebody that's been the victim of the broadcast curse a couple times myself, definitely know how that works. But hopefully tonight is a little bit more like Wednesday, where that curse didn't really hit those 3 guys that were picked.
Hey, if you don't want the broadcaster's curse, do not be fast so we won't pick you. But Landon Lacey going to get us started here as the green flag flies. And on the outside, Reese Schaefer gets a great jump.
Fantastic jump from Schaefer on that outside. We see John Honeycutt, the first one that's going to try to make this 3 wide, and they're going to start scattering a little bit, but they're going to keep that a lot more controlled than we saw on Wednesday and Thursday. Only 3 wide as opposed to the 4-5 wide that we were seeing sometimes going down into Turn 1.
Yeah, and with these cars, you were mentioning, we already got one. Kyle Johnson in the 48. Craig Lautenschlager involved. Yep. Looks like
Raul Meza, the 41
of Ty Cole, yeah.
Ty Cole.
Justin Rideout, one of our independent drivers, also involved, and man, he is completely damaged there.
That is just rough. On Turn 1, we were talking about how everybody likes to scatter on those starts and restarts down that front straightaway. You can really make it about 6-7 wide, but we were seeing a lot of 4-5 wide racing down the front stretch. Here, only 3 wide, but once they got into the turns, I think some people just did not get the jump that others were doing. And actually, this time it was the 48 of Kyle Johnson just kind of pushed up the racetrack a little bit and got into Justin Rideout in the 14 in that orange and white car. And that just sparked all kinds of trouble because everybody's still bottled up there so quick after the start. It looks like Josh Siegfried slowed up, and I think that might have been the catalyst there. Not sure if he lost a little bit and had to back out of the gas, but I think Kyle Johnson saw that and was trying to avoid and just pushed up the racetrack in the process.
There was another car involved, and I didn't see who it was. Maybe we can see from a different angle here. But you can see Johnson just kind of coming up the track. There's Lautenschlager involved. Oh, that's Brady. That's Bo Brady there in the 19 car, also involved.
And as a striker guy in the Xfinity series, I'm not liking that one. That was 3 striker cars all involved in that one, with Raul Meza also looking like he got a piece of it. So rough start there for my guys here on striker. See if Raul got through it or not. He was starting near the back. He might have just stopped on the racetrack to avoid it, and that might have just be what caught my eye there. And I believe that's actually what he did.
Yeah, since he was in the back, very smart move for him. He's not going to lose any positions by doing that. So definitely a smart move by him to get it all slowed down. But you can see the carnage in front of him there.
Yeah, big trouble. And, I had a little bit of damage on Thursday after lap 1, just kind of pushing up in turn 3 and catching the wall, and it just makes for a long night where you already pick up a little bit of damage. You can repair it, but the damage that we're seeing from that wreck is going to be very significant. We might see a few guys already knocked out of this race before getting out of turn 1.
Yeah, I believe Kyle Johnson and Justin Rideout are pretty well damaged to the point where they either won't be able to continue or they will definitely come out a lot later in the race because they've got to get some damage repaired. But in the meantime here, let's talk a little bit about this Revved Up for the Cause race that we got coming up this Saturday. So 100 laps at Talladega. Going to be a lot of fun raising money for little Sadie there. And just wait until you see the pictures of this little girl. Her smile is so infectious. It's wonderful.
Yeah, I remember all the promo materials that we had last season. I think it might be the wrong way to put it, but it was kind of tough to watch because it's such a cute kid, and just to think about what she's having to go through and what the family's going through with this battle with cancer. It was really hard to think about everything that they have to deal with. So I know every little bit is going to help, and there's that QR code. If you're able to help out and donate, scan that code with your phone. It'll take you to the page that'll be needed to go to make that happen.
Yeah, and we are working with Revved Up for the Cause and with Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing as well. That is kind of putting this race on. And we're working on a way for people to donate throughout the race and to be recognized for that donation throughout the racing broadcast. So we are working on that. Hopefully we will get that all squared away. But we are planning on having some viewer prizes as well as prizes for the drivers. And so obviously there are team prizes there. There are individual prizes. There's clean driver prizes. There's fastest qualifying lap prizes. There's hard charger prize. There's all sorts of stuff being donated to this cause. Such a great thing that SeanKozier's put together.
And if you needed another reason to watch, it's 100 laps at Talladega. When's that ever a bad thing? So another good reason to watch. But yeah, just thankful for everybody that's helped out and all the sponsors putting everything together and Revved Racing as well for setting that up. So everybody just with a hand in it. Very, very much a big thank you from myself, and I know from a lot of people as well. Now,
we will put this QR code back up on the broadcast here just a little bit later, but just be aware that all you have to do is scan that. That'll take you directly to the PayPal where you can donate to this cause. All these donations go to Sadie, so please donate generously and donate often. Please let this get this broadcast out to everybody so that they can donate as well. We certainly appreciate all of that kindness because that is kind of this is what Speed Racing Network, the whole, I'm going to call it a family, which is kind of what we are here. This is what we do. We try to help each other out, even though we go after each other on the racetrack. Off the racetrack, we're all brothers.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be some disagreements out there and some anger at times with some things. So that's just part of racing. But at the end of the day, something happens to one of us and one of the members of the family, and everybody just kind of steps up and helps each other out. So definitely one of the best parts about SRN and a part that I'm definitely grateful that I'm here to be a small part of that as well.
Well, we're looking right now at Landon Lacey taking the outside lane. Reese Schaefer's going to have that inside. You got Timothy Latham behind Landon Lacey, which could be a big reason that he took that outside lane so he could get lined up with his other 3 teammates. So all sorts of stuff going on the outside there.
Yeah, and we saw it at times this week. The outside line, not necessarily the wrong line to take here. There's plenty of time to get it sorted out once they get that green flag.
And Lacey gets a great jump on that, and obviously timed that out with his teammates because Timothy Latham got a good jump on Reese Schaefer as well, and he is going to go ahead and take second place before we get to turn 1.
Nearly got all 3 clear as Nick Gowen was very close to getting past and clearing the 17 of Reese Schaefer, but unable to do so. He's going to be sitting side by side still on the outside. He's going to have a good run off the turn, and he's going to clear him now. Sorry about Schaefer that was actually clearing Gowen. I saw that at a weird angle. But they are going to get sorted out single file, and this is what everybody really wants to see here if you're near the front of the field. Just starting to stretch this thing out and maybe get a green flag run going.
Yeah, but if you are towards the front of that field, you better catch Landon Lacey and Timothy Latham right now, because once they step out, it is over. It is so hard to catch these guys once they get a good lead, and Reese Schaefer is doing everything he can to stay in contact with Timothy Latham as Latham takes the lead away from Lacey.
Latham taking that lead away, but then instantly helping his teammate Landon Lacey as he got a little trouble exiting turn 2 that last time by, and that nearly set him up to fall back to third. But once Latham got clear, he went up the track to help give that little pull through the draft to Landon Lacey and help him avoid falling that other position to Reese Schaefer, who's going to fall back in line in third.
You know, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit upset with Timothy Latham right now because I picked him last week and he didn't pull through. And now this week I said, you know what? I'm not going to pick Timothy Latham because he didn't pull through the last time and now he's out in the lead.
So is the reverse curse.
That's what it is. Timothy Latham maintains that lead just by 0.15 of a second there. Reese Schaefer not too far behind there in third place behind Landon Lacey. Nick Gowen, Timothy, and Landon's teammate up there in fourth. And Devin Zimmerman holding his own up here in fifth place.
Yeah, Zimmerman's still sitting in fifth. He's one of 2 independents inside the top 10 right now. Vincent Cortez also sitting in ninth. As you see, Holzer just before that shot turned, working the side-by-side against Seth Berger. That for the 6th and 7th position. Only side-by-side battle we got inside the top 10 at this point.
No, Nick Gowen and Reese Schaefer are side-by-side right now, and Nick Gowen's going to get that. No, he's not. No, Reese Schaefer is going to keep that spot. I thought that Nick had a good line there.
Good line, but it's a sneaky track when it comes to the draft. If you're on the outside near that wall and in line with everybody else, it'll pull you a good bit. And also just being on the outside coming out of turn 1, you get a real good run down that straightaway. Just builds up a whole lot of momentum, and that'll really help you fight off any run on the inside. And
Landon Lacey, while we were looking at the Nick Gowen and Reese Schaefer contest there, Landon Lacey retakes the lead away from Timothy Latham. So even though these guys are teammates, they are definitely still racing.
Yeah, they're racing hard, but they're definitely racing clean and smart at the same time. So nothing too difficult about that just yet. Nothing too dangerous there, as they're doing a good job trading that lead back and forth and really working with each other while racing each other. They're not putting each other in danger of losing a position in the process. They're making it happen quick when that run comes.
And Landon and Timothy starting to step away just a little bit, and that is what the danger is. You do not want to let them get too far out there. But a little bit further back, let's go back to Emerson Ardon running a special paint tonight. He is running a paint for the 13 fallen soldiers, and we will get a good view of that right there. And so thank you for him doing that, and thank you to all of our servicemen and women out there that keep our country safe, and we really appreciate your sacrifice, especially those that gave the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, and you'll see a few cars out there with similar schemes out there with some military-inspired paint schemes. Devin Zimmerman, one of those running the camo car. And Landon Lacey also with a little bit of that inspiration as well on the car. So you're seeing a lot of guys this week really doing that with their paint schemes just as a tribute to what happened last week in Kabul, and just a real classy gesture.
You know, while we're talking about paints, and while we're kind of lined up here and not really with too many side-by-side battles, let's go back to Byron McDonald, who is racing with the paint and with a heavy heart here tonight as his youth pastor, K-Bar Hopfer, passed away very recently. And so he is running a special paint for the Cowboys' final ride home. And we, again, our condolences go out to our brother, Byron McDonald, and all the things that he is going through right now. So we sincerely pray for the best and hope for the best for him, and hope that he can get through this.
Yeah, and you know, we we do joke at times that, Byron, a different paint scheme every week. This one obviously has a whole lot more meaning, and all the paint schemes look good. This one obviously is going to be the one that means the most. So definitely with Byron and everybody that's affected from that loss.
Well, heading back up to the front here, Landon Lacey still maintains that lead, and now we've got 4 of the top 5 as Next Level Motorsports, with Reese Schaefer being in the middle of that. He is in third. He's got 2 of those next levels in front, 2 of those next levels behind. So holding his own here with these guys.
Yeah, and if you've been watching this season, that's not too much of a shock. Reese has been very fast at a lot of the tracks, and just every now and then kind of has an issue that just comes up. And at times it just seems like, hey, when one thing goes wrong, it just kind of snowballs. And that does happen to people sometimes, whether it's out in their control or not. But hopefully he gets a run here and can keep this going, staying up near the front the entire way through.
And we've kind of broken up into about 4 different packs here. So you got this front lead pack with 6 drivers there, ending in Devin Zimmerman. Then back a little bit further, got Seth Berger leading this second pack back here. And that goes all the way back to about Josh Siegfried in the 60. Then right behind him, you got Andrew Lewis leading another pack. And that's going to end back there around Ross Bovair. And then back behind that, you got Max Service leading another pack. And so for whatever reason, we have broken up into these 4 packs. This is not like Talladega where you can pack race your way back to the front, though.
Yeah, the draft is there. It's not going to be that strong, though. But the big thing is that I think this all happened just because we started seeing some hard side-by-side racing for 7th and 8th, and that kind of split them back from the grouping a little bit. Then we saw more side-by-side racing quite a bit in that 3rd pack, and that just isolated them a little bit more from that 2nd pack. So we're seeing more of the effects of what happens when you start pushing each other, especially through turns 2 and then turn 3, really messes with your speed and the way that you can get a run down those straightaways following those turns, and you can see it and how it's separating the field.
And Devin Zimmerman, I thought for a while there might be in danger of losing this front pack. Now, if he does, right behind him, 3 of his teammates, Seth Berger, Vincent Cortez, and Emerson Ardon, are back there waiting to help him out. So he's doing just fine here on the back of this pack. I think he's just kind of saving his stuff right now. He is not trying to advance on James Holzer at all here.
Yeah, and then another part about it, too, is that's almost maybe a better position to be in than the lead in some aspects. Obviously, the lead is the best position to be in, but we were talking earlier about how this could be a bit of a fuel mileage race. That caution's going to help out. It should just be 2 stops, but now you can think about, all right, how many laps am I going to have on that last stint? If there's a green-white checker, could I make it without having to make another pit stop? We're getting to the point, if you're sitting back there and you can just kind of crack the throttle a little bit, maintain that speed, getting that draft to pull you, not having to punch that hole in the air and using up a little bit more fuel, it just makes it a little bit easier, a little bit less to think about when it comes to the fuel mileage at the end of this race.
Yeah, and I think he may have lost that draft now, and so if that is the case, then he will start to fall back where his teammate Seth Berger is about a second and 1.75 seconds behind him. He might catch right back up here. He's going to drive it in deep, try to maintain his position with this front pack.
Yeah, I think if you're within about a second, you'll still get some of the effect of the draft in front of you. If you're within a half second, it'll really pull you, though. So I think he's still good, unless we start seeing, right now we're seeing Holzer 74 hundredths of a second back. If we start seeing Zimmerman around 1.3, 1.4, that's where I'd start to get worried about him just dropping all the way back.
Yeah, every time I think that he's lost that draft, he seems to jump right back in there. Now, in the meantime, Reese Schaefer going side by side here, going to take the second position away from Timothy Latham on the inside. Timothy not willing to give it up. He still has that outside line, and Reese Schaefer is going to be left out in the cold.
And that's the trouble that Schaefer's going to have, being mixed in here with 4 next-level drivers. Those next-level motorsport teammates are going to be working together. So if he's going to break away and duck down to the inside, as now we got Timothy Latham looking to the inside, Landon Lacey. So they're going to go side by side. This is really going to bunch up this front 6. A little surprising, and now he's going to back it back in, get back in line, and that his next level teammates all going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 now with the way that just played out. And we got trouble out of turn number 1.
Jordan Sailors
around.
Yeah, Jordan Saylor's just having a rough season, and it just seems like he's just in the wrong place at the wrong time sometimes, and I think that's what happened there. Just a great driver, just for whatever reason, has had the worst luck this season.
Yeah, that snake bit season continuing there for Jordan Sailors as we have our second Beer Street Journal Rec replay of the night. Had a pretty solid run there, though, as we're now on lap 15, so a good 10-lap run there. Since our last restart, as we ride on board with Jordan Sailors in that R&D Motorsports car, and just looks like he thought he was clear and could make that move to the inside and get that little bit of a help from David Duke in the 78. I do believe that was. Yep. And just did not have him completely cleared, and it got him turned into that inside wall.
Yeah, keep in mind, these two are teammates, and so obviously David Duke's not going to try to wreck his teammate here. And so it looks like Jordan Sailors just wanted, he just tried to come down and get in front of David Duke, get that push, and David was not clear.
Yeah, that was a little bit late of a move there, maybe a little bit of hesitation before dumping down into that inside line to try to get that little bit of a draft going, get around Kyle Benson in the 10, and just misjudge that. All these things, you look back at it in hindsight, and you can sit there and say, well, you shouldn't have done that. You weren't quite clear. But all this happens in a tenth of a second. You have to make that decision of going or not. And if you wait that little tenth or 2/10 of a second, all of a sudden that is cleared out. And actually, he might have caught the wall and that kicked him down to the inside.
He caught the wall a couple times there. And once you hit that wall the second time, it bounces you down. You saw the sparks just a second ago. There's some sparks there, and there he comes.
That would do that to you. That'll kick you off that wall pretty good, and that looks a lot more like what happened there, and makes a whole lot more sense. Still does not do any benefit there for the 55. Obviously, as that damage comes in either way, but does make a lot more sense as we got leaders hitting pit road.
Yeah, everybody hitting pit road here. I don't think anybody's going to stay out at all because everybody needs those brand new tires. 17 laps in, pretty much all green flag. We had one early yellow flag. Since then, it's been fairly clean. So just be on the lookout here. I don't think anybody's going to try to take two tires as Landon Lacey misses his box.
Missed the box. He had to lose a couple tenths of a second there, and also trying to see who that was. I believe that was Devin Zimmerman in the 33 that missed his pit stall as well, had to back it up. So they're both going to lose some spots here, and Landon Lacey going to come out fourth.
Nick Gowen, his teammate, is going to take the lead. Timothy Latham there in second. Reese Schaefer maintains third place. Landon Lacey still in fourth. James Holzer in fifth. So top five didn't really change. It's just they shifted a little bit. And so back behind them, Seth Berger in sixth, and David Duke comes out in seventh.
Yeah, there was some good runs down pit road. Not sure if David possibly taking two tires there.
No, it looks like he took four.
Oh, wow. It's just a great drive down and off pit road. iRacing does a great job keeping those pit stop times about a tenth of a second in variance with each other when it comes to a four-tire stop altogether. So they try not to let that affect the race and have any kind of a glitch there. But it's all about how you get onto pit road, how you get off pit road, and if you just get a clean entry into your pit stall and stop it in the right point, all that stuff will help out on pit road. So a great job there on pit road for David Duke.
I'll tell you, I always look at the pit lane time, not just the pit box time, but the pit lane time as well. Reese Schaefer had the second fastest. The first fastest was Nick Gowen, who came out in first. Second fastest was Reese Schaefer. Third fastest was David Duke. And so all of them cleared 54 seconds going all the way down pit lane. Everyone else was 54.25 or more. And so that's where a lot of people lost some time. Devin Zimmerman, 56.65. He missed that box there. Landon Lacey, even with missing the box, was just under 56 seconds. So 1 or 2 seconds on pit road could mean 5, 6, 7 positions.
And it was 5 positions exactly for David Duke. He entered that, 4 positions there, because he's now in the 7th position. And part of that, he was 11th place when that caution came out. So that all those times that you were giving out, proof is in the pudding right there. 4 positions picked up on pit road with all pit stop times being pretty much identical.
Yeah, absolutely huge. And so Nick Gowen going to lead a lap here. He's going to get that all-important bonus point. Now, keep in mind, he's already currently slotted in the playoffs, but he needs all the points he can get to kind of move up in there. Those bonus points do affect the end of the season because you get to carry those bonus points into the playoffs with you.
Yeah, and much like in real life with the Cup Series and Xfinity Series and all that, they stick with you there once you get into that playoff, and it's just a huge relief if you have those points. And the Truck Series last season, I didn't have any of those bonus points going into it, and it made that very stressful. Just because you're thinking, man, I was like fourth in the point standings all year. Now I'm sitting there near the bottom and having to race my way back up. So you pick up those bonus points, just goes a long way in helping you out and giving you that little bit of breathing room.
Yep, here at the Tricky 185, sponsored by Sparkle and Shine Mobile Detailing. And again, we thank them for their sponsorship and all their hard work during the season to help make Speed Racing Network exactly what it is right now. But we're about to get back to green with Nick Gowen there on the outside. Timothy Latham, his teammate, down on the inside, and they will get it going. Timothy Latham gets a better jump than Nick does.
Man, that was a huge jump for Timothy Latham, and not sure if maybe there was a little bit of team strategy there that might not have worked entirely, but there's going to be 2x2x2 all the way back through the field here as we get into turn one.
We'll see how this thing sorts itself out as we get through turn one and head down to turn two in this long straightaway.
They're making their way into the tunnel turn, very sharp, very narrow when it comes to the racing line. Hopefully they'll get this sorted out pretty quickly. Side by side, a little bit tricky to get through turn two, and the leaders are going to get straightened out in single file, but even through the field, saw a lot of side by side through turn two, and everybody making it work.
Yeah, they've done a good job of getting lined out really, really quickly, but Nick Gowen going to take that lead as we come back across the starter stand here. So Nick Gowen, Timothy Latham, Landon Lacey, your top three, all from Next Level Motorsports. A couple of tank drivers right behind them, Reese Schaefer and Seth Berger in fourth and fifth. That rounds out your top five.
That might be the big difference there, though, right now, is you're starting to see those tank guys start to get near each other. And if anybody's going to take on the Next Level Motorsports group of four that's really been controlling this race, that's what you need. You need teammates. You need help. Reese Schaefer now has Seth Berger, but you also look at it, he has Vincent Cortez and Devin Zimmerman as well, who they're independents tonight, but they are affiliated with Tank.
I got to tell you, the number one concern for any team out there, and James isn't going to like that I said this, or maybe he will, but is to keep James Holzer out of the top five. If you can keep him back, then you have a shot, but he is so good when he gets to the front that he is just almost unbeatable, and there he is breaking into the top five right now as he passes Seth Berger on the outside.
Yeah, one of the best in all of SRN at defending his position and just also just flat fast. So it's hard to pass somebody that gets around almost every single track incredibly well, if not the best in the league. He's right up there no matter what track we're at when it comes to just pure speed, but just does a great job of defending that position as well. And right now he's kind of sandwiched in between two tank drivers with Schaefer and Berger in fourth and sixth, around Holzer in that 42 sitting in fifth. So at some point, you got to think that Reese Schaefer might duck down to the inside, and he'll have Seth Berger following him, and they might be able to get a run there and get both of them to start moving up through the field.
Yeah, if James Holzer has a weakness, we have yet to see it here on Speed Racing Network this season. He has just been all over the top five all season long, and I mean, just beware that he is always lurking there in the top five, just waiting for you.
Yeah, I think there's only been a couple races where we haven't seen him all over that top five, and that was, the road course at the Roval, and I believe it was Homestead where there was a little bit of trouble and kind of got stuck in the mid-pack there for a while. But other than that, just been up in front, and the points show exactly the result of that. I mean, he's 40-plus points ahead of second place. At this point in the season, only 7 races in, and you're a full race worth of points up. absolute dominance this season.
Yeah, here are his finishes. Second place at Daytona, first place at Kansas, second place at Dover, 10th place at Charlotte Roval, 7th place at Homestead, first place at Nashville, second place last week at Richmond. So when your weakest race is 10th place, you're going to be the points leader.
Yeah, that's a pretty good strategy around there, just getting the top 10. And, oh, by the way, those 3 drop weeks that come through the regular season in the first 12 races. So his race finishes are all going to be first and second at this point, should he continue that run that he's had.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, but that is just how good he has been all season. He will come out, and he is fairly humble when he says, dude, I'm just having a good season. I mean, it's not, I'm not better than these guys. I'm just having a good season. And maybe that's the case, but right now, I mean, he is just flat out better than a lot of these drivers.
And a lot of times it comes with the company that you keep. And you look at that team, that is just a murderer's row of speed and talent at Next Level Motorsports. And so, I mean, it's only going to make you better. It's that iron sharpens iron kind of mentality. Yeah,
and this is one of those teams where if you're not careful, they won't just go 1, 2, 3. They'll go 1, 2, 3, 4. And if Gabriel Ellison was here, then they could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, they are just that good.
Yeah, I mean, any race that they're at, you just start looking at them and say, all right, which ones of this group are going to be out there in front, and who's going to give them a challenge? As you see them getting lined up there, it looked like they were going to try to maybe get Holzer to look to the inside of Schaefer and get to that 1, 2, 3, 4, but didn't quite have the run for that. As Nick Gowen continuing to lead as we're about a third of the way through this one.
Yeah, the last 2 races, they have had 2 of the top 3 drivers. So in both of the last 2 races. So that's just, man, I mean, just what do you do? It's kind of like, I can't remember which sports star was saying, hey, how do we beat this guy? And they said, you break his legs. That's the only thing you can do to beat these guys, apparently.
It almost sounds like a Tanya Harding kind of story. That one a little bit too serious, I suppose. But as Nick Gowen gets washed up the track there in turn 1, that's actually going to let Timothy Latham get to the inside there. Sorry, not laughing about the pass.
I just never thought we'd have a Tanya Harding reference here on Speed Racing. I never thought that would ever happen. But now James Holzer has not only broken into the top 5, but he is up in 4. So now they are 1, 2, 3, 4 is Next Level Motorsports. So again, just absolutely dominant right now as Landon Lacey is going to take the inside and take that 3rd position away from his teammate Nick Gowen for the time being.
Starting to wonder if Nick Gowen's got some kind of an issue. Oh, as he got near the wall, might have made a little bit of contact, but that car is really starting to push in both turn 1 and in turn 3, and that might be a little bit of trouble there.
Going back just a little ways, Kyle Spees back here in the top 10. He is up in 10th position. He's up 17 spots from where he started. Started off in 27th, which was 3rd to last, and he is already up into the top 10. So he obviously has found something here. And, one of the things that I love about Kyle Spees, if you remember back to that All-Star race at Indianapolis when we were in those ARCA cars, he was one of the top picks of that race because he has so much experience going around these really, really weird tracks.
Yeah, he's really good there. Another thing he's really good at is just working his way through the field, as evidenced tonight. This is his kind of style of running where he just works his way through the field, real smart when it comes to the long run and just keeping his stuff in good balance and keeping the speed there in the car while everybody else starts falling off and just really picks his points well. Part of what makes him a really good spotter as well. I've had the benefit of working with him, calling one of the races for me before, and just real intelligent spotter. He just knows where things are going to happen around the track and has a good eye for that.
And always he's got fans out there that are watching him as always as well. Now up front, Timothy Latham taking the inside, and he is going to take the lead away from his teammate Landon Lacey. Again, they are not slowing down out there. All 4 of these guys want that first position.
And again, what's amazing is how easy they're making that all happen. They're trading the position, which I don't think many teams would want to do too much, but what they're doing is they're doing it so well where you're just making that pass and nobody's really getting out of speed, nobody's getting out of line too bad. They're just falling right back in and not really costing any positions beside the pass that just happened. They're doing a great job of working with each other while racing.
And Landon Lacey says, nope, I want it right back, Tim.
And Latham really going up high. That track does get a little bit bumpy. Once you get near the wall, it kind of gets you out of shape just a little bit. And now they're going to go side by side, 2 lines deep, and now they're going to get it sorted back out. But they were really thinking about going 2 by 2 going into turn 2, which would not recommend for teammates to be doing.
I mean, for a second there, it looked like he was trying to defend the inside away from his own team. I just don't. I mean, I guess I understand you. If you're a racer, you're a racer. And there goes James Holzer trying to take a position away from Nick Goen as well.
And this might be the first time that we're seeing a pass for next level teammates that might actually be more affected than the rest of them, because he kind of opened that window and Schaefer unable to take advantage of it. That door was wide open for Reese Schaefer to get in there and break up this pack of 4, and he's going to take that look with a good run down that long, near mile-long front stretch, and he's going to get clear of Goen. Can he hang on to it? He's got help behind him with some pushers now.
And as we come out of that corner, it looks like Schaefer's going to stay low because he's not quite clear yet. Looks like his teammate, Seth Berger, is going to jump up onto that outside line, and so is Reese Schaefer. So tried to make that pass work, just did not happen this time around.
Big winner in all that, though, is going to be David Duke in the 78. You see him in that white and yellow car. He had a couple positions picked up there once everybody kind of got a little bit scattered there. So he got by Vincent Cortez and getting into turn 2. Everybody else dumped back into that high line. He just kept it down low and made that pass in 2.
Not really sure what his car is. Volunteer Q. I'm not really sure what that company is, but definitely a Tennessee company. So we appreciate them jumping on board and sponsoring him as well.
And he has given that car a good run there with that new group on the hood, as he's now up to the 6th position as he gets around Nick Goen, who continues to start falling back. Vincent Cortez looking to the inside. And he's going to have a great position here going inside in turn 2. That's a pretty simple pass to be making. Hard to get that speed on the outside and really keep any momentum in it. And now if it's Kyle Spies that's going to be looking to the inside of Nick Goen and possibly moving Goen back to the 9th position, if not a little bit farther, because they're lining up behind him.
Yeah, I don't see any damage on Nick Goen's car here. I'm not really sure what is going on with his car that is making it a little bit slower, or maybe the tire fall off is just that bad right now. But yeah, he is under attack by multiple drivers as Kyle Spies takes a look as well.
Man, I feel like it might just be tires at this point. Maybe he was really burning them to keep that car out in front. Not sure. I mean, he's had good speed. It wasn't like he was pulling away too much, so it's hard to imagine that it's going to be a whole lot different. There just might be something that just doesn't feel right with the setup at this point in the tire run.
Well, we are about 15 laps into this tire run, and like we said before, you make it 25 to 25 and a half laps, something to that effect. And so be on the lookout for people to start pitting here within the next 3 or 4 laps as James Holzer takes the lead away from his teammate. And, you know, we said a little bit earlier in the broadcast, if you let James Holzer into that top 5, then you are not going to have a good night, and here he is leading the race.
And he's got fast company, the only other repeat winner this season, sitting in 2nd. So teammates 1, 2, 3. And between them, they have 4 race wins this season. Lacey going to take that look to the inside, going to get a good run into the turn, driving it real deep. And he's going to clear him, but that's going to set up a possible crossover if Holzer wants it. And I think he's going to play the smart team move there and just tuck in behind him and not give Reese Schaefer any of that pull as he went to the inside. And he's going to start getting freight trained on that inside because he had David Duke and a couple others lining up. He's going to be let in by Seth Berger, his teammate. So Schaefer only going to fall back to 5th.
Yeah, David Duke starting off in the 9th position all the way up to 4th now. And we said earlier in the broadcast that he thought he had a lot of speed here, and he's showing it as he is not only broken into that top 5, but all the way up to 4th. And he's not done yet.
No, and he's one of the few that's done a great job tonight of not really having a whole lot of help, but just taking the positions as they come and being real smart on reading what's going on in front of him and when he's got the run, when he can make that pass. That's part of this racetrack is there's some places You cannot make a pass. It's just not intelligent if you're going to keep any high speed going. If you try to make it, you might get the pass, but you're going to lose a lot of space and a lot of ground in the process to the cars that are still in front of you. He's done a fantastic job of just picking the right points to be making each of these passes, and he's just picking them off one by one.
Well, looking out there in the YouTube chat, so Miss Sue Nowak, who is always here every single week, she just posted, "Hey, Grandma's here. Let's roll number 36, Kyle Spees." And again, he is our biggest mover of the night right now. He is up in 11th, fighting for that 10th spot now against his teammate Scott Kalal.
The biggest mover by far for Kyle Spees. He's in a little bit of trouble there, though, as he was out on an island on that inside, so he's going to get past a couple of drivers, Scott Kalal and Devin Zimmerman, going by him. Spees will tuck back in line and get back into that little bit of a draft that you get here around Pocono, but he's got John Honeycutt right behind him, but still the biggest mover of the race from 27th to 12th. Next biggest mover is going to be Christopher Lawrence in the 99, started 28th. He's up to 14th, so 14 positions gained for Lawrence.
Well, don't look now, but Vincent Cortez and Kyle Benson have both passed Reese Schaefer, and Reese was having such a huge run earlier in this stint here, and now he is falling back very quickly as Kyle Benson makes that pass as well on him, and then you've got Scott Kalal right behind as well as Devin Zimmerman. So Reese Schaefer kind of hurting right now. I'm not sure if that's just tires as well. It probably is.
And honestly, part of it, too, is we watch Nick Gowen making his way back up there, up to 6th after falling back to 9th. Part of it, too, is something that happened to me on Thursday, where you just get passed by one and you kind of get in that freight train situation where people line up and you just do not get the optimal line around the track. You get stuck on the outside in 2, for instance, or pinned down on the exit of 3, and it just hurts your momentum. And with these long straightaways, it's a lot of just how good is your exit? How much momentum do you have off the turn? If you lose that little bit, it will affect you for a few turns if you can't get back in line and you're just kind of stuck side by side with people.
You know, I'm looking at these cars as they get into these corners and everything, and so many of them are taking different lines in every single corner. And you can see that here. I mean, we're almost going 3 wide this late into a run, and it's just a matter of, I mean, who's taking what line and when.
Yeah, and we saw it on turn 3 where they were going about 3 wide through there, which you can do. It's definitely not recommended. Turn 1 is probably the one that you can do 3 wide the easiest. 3, it just has a late apex, and I think that's where you see a lot of the differing strategies on trying to get into the turn. Most of the turns you kind of think like, all right, midway through the turn, that's going to be the apex point. I want to hit that and then start accelerating and moving closer to the wall following that. In turn 3, it just comes so much later because of the way that this track is laid out. You just kind of sweep all the way through, and we'll get a good look at it here as we continue to follow Seth Berger. And you can just drive it real deep and kind of coast it into this turn. And he's not even anywhere close to that yellow line until about 2/3, 3/4 of the way through that turn. That's where the apex really is, and you can start making your way up towards that outside wall. And that just changes how drivers want to attack that turn, and there's a whole lot of ways you can do it and get to that point.
Well, right now, not only has it gotten lined out a little bit, but these top 3 have broken away. So they're about half a second, 0.6 of a second ahead of Seth Berger there in 4th place. And now they got to start thinking, when are we pitting? Are we pitting together? What's the strategy here?
And the interesting thing is we were talking about after that first caution that kind of makes it where if it stayed green the rest of the way, you didn't have to think about fuel mileage. Now, they came in on lap 17. Say you get 26 laps because of that caution. That's still lap 43, and you have 32 laps left. So at this point, you know you're still going to need another pit stop, and you're just kind of playing this waiting game to see who's going to be the first one to bite, who's going to try the undercut, who's going to try to stay out as long as possible. There's a whole lot of options right now when it comes to this fuel strategy the rest of the way.
Yeah, if you think that driving is nothing more than just turning left, you're sadly mistaken. There's a lot of strategy that goes into this where you will see some of these guys, they will pit early so they can get that jump on everybody else and get those faster laps up early. But if they do that and a caution comes out, they're in a lot of trouble because they're already out there on the track on those little bit of older tires, and now they have to kind of wait for everybody else to pit.
And at the start of this run, we're looking at 54.1, the lap time for Landon Lacey, taking a look at his times. Now it's 56.1, so it's 2 seconds different. If somebody comes down pit road right now and gets those fresh tires, within a lap, they're going to make up 2 seconds compared to the field on track in terms of the time. That's a massive difference. And if you're out there for 3 extra laps, that's 6 seconds you're looking at picking up. So if you're only 4 seconds back right now, the entire field cycles through, you're very likely going to have a 2-second lead if that scenario played out. That undercut is effective, especially at a track like Pocono, where you're very unlikely to go a lap down making a green flag pit stop.
Well, I said a little while ago that those top 3 had broken away. Well, Seth Berger and Vincent Cortez have caught up to them, and now it's a 5-car pack there at the front. And here we are. Everybody pitted on lap 16. We're on lap 39 now, so that is 23 laps, and they can only go 25 or 26 laps. So it's going to happen here in the next 2 to 3 laps.
Yeah, I keep listening into the driver chat to see, but it's been very quiet this race. I still have not heard anybody making that call that they're going to be making that pit stop. And, yeah, still nothing. Heard a little bit of chatter, but wasn't about that. So either people are being very sneaky about how they're going to do it, or they're just pushing this thing farther than we thought, maybe backing out of the gas a whole lot earlier, trying to stretch this to maybe make it on this final stop, which I still don't think is possible.
Yeah, a few of the Burger crew are out there in the YouTube channel right now saying that they are out here rooting for Seth Berger, and here he is up in 4th position. So he is definitely holding his own up here, and not only holding his own, but he's showing out. So it's just going to take 1 or 2 bad corners for these top 3, and maybe a good pit strategy call for Seth Berger to take that lead.
And he has had a fantastic season. You look back to last year, just kind of getting that experience and having a not full team. Not sure what the best way to put that is, but an undermanned lineup that they had is James Holzer getting around Landon Lacey. But for Berger, I mean, just the improvement from last season to this season, it's just been massive for him. And that the 77 car just really been spending a lot of time up near the front of the field this season.
I mean, these top 3 really have been running one of the best races we've seen all season. They are shifting back and forth, and I think a lot of that, it might be helping their fuel strategy a little bit, where they're drafting off of each other a little bit, maybe saving a little bit of that fuel from leading. So maybe that's what they're doing here. But they're shifting back and forth, but they're doing it so cleanly, so smoothly, that it's almost like they wanted it to happen this way.
Yeah, it's like they're doing one of those heads-up runs where you get into that line of like 8 people, and then once somebody from the back gets up to the front, then the person in the back at that point starts making their way, so it just kind of pushes that pace a little bit more. And it's kind of what they're doing here on the track with these race cars. They're doing a fantastic job of making all these passes, still being fast, not affecting how the other drivers are handling it, and just, man, it's been incredible watching them do this and not put each other in any danger of falling behind too far. I think the only one that we saw lose a few spots was Nick Gowen, but he's still holding on to that 6th spot, still within a second. You see him there in the back of that line. So this has been just a perfect strategy for next level.
Yeah, now all these other drivers behind them, they just have to figure out a way to get past them, not just to catch up to them, but now what do you do at that point? That's kind of what Seth Berger is going through right now. He's caught up to Timothy Latham. The question is, how do you get by him?
If I'm David Duke, Scott Kalal, Kyle Benson, or Reese Schaefer, I'm thinking I'm going to be the one that's going to make that undercut. If it starts feeling like there's a 3-4 laps left on fuel, which we should be about right now, I would be thinking, you know what, I'm going to come in, I'm going to get those fresh tires, and there we go. People starting to make their way down as it's Seth Berger in the 77, Vincent Cortez in the 69. They're going to lead the way on these pit stops. There's David Duke in the 78, Reese Schaefer. So a lot of the drivers, I was thinking the best chance they have at making this pass is going to be on pit road. Here they go, trying the undercut to make up a little bit of time.
Yeah, and I don't think the Landon Lacey and James Holzer, Timothy Latham are going to be that far behind, because they do not want those guys to get that 1 or 2 seconds. The only way I feel like they stay out there is if they feel like they can stretch this somehow into a one more pit stop race, which I just don't see happening.
No, I don't see the numbers working for that unless they know something that I do not. But that's just really stretching that fuel tank out. As we run that 70% capacity fuel cell here. As we watch the crew that already made that stop making their way off pit road. They're still a full straightaway ahead, and here comes the rest of the leaders making their way. They're going to cut off that undercut immediately within one lap.
Now, one guy staying out there, Scott Kalal, gets that all-important extra point for leading a lap. Kyle Spees stays out as well, his teammate. So Kyle Spees in second, Scott Kalal in first after that. Emerson Ardon staying out another couple of laps here. Michael Politis back there in fourth place as well. Max Service in fifth. So these five have not pitted yet, and we will see how everything shakes out once they do. But as we are getting back around, I'm taking a look here at Landon Lacey as he is finishing up his service right now. We're going to see how it shakes out between him and Seth Berger, who Seth Berger is coming around right now. This is going to get really close.
It'd be super close as we watch Seth Berger go all the way down that straightaway at 185 miles an hour. And Seth Berger is going to be out in front once we cycle through, should we not see a caution, as he'll be in eighth on the way it is right now. But look at the gap. You're looking at 1.7, 1.8 seconds now the lead for Seth Berger over Landon Lacey, as Scott Kalal gives up the lead after leading the last lap. And Kyle Spees stays out. He's going to pick up a lap led this time by.
So Kyle Spees, our leader at this point. Emerson Ardon, Max Service also still have not pitted. Byron McDonald also not pitting just yet. They are hoping for something to happen here where they can get that caution and stay up there. We will see if that happens for them. But Seth Berger, once everything lines out, will be leading this race.
And just doing the math, lap 17 was the last time everybody made that pit stop. We've now gone 28 laps. We have 30 to go. It's a long shot, but because there was a caution involved in that, obviously. A couple of pace laps, which 2 pace laps will pretty much burn the equivalent of 1 lap up to speed. But it's possible for these guys staying out. They might be thinking, hey, you know what? Let's take a shot at this and see if we can make it on one more stop and stretch this last one out.
Emerson Ardon, Max Service coming down here on lap 46. Kyle Spees still staying out. So Kyle, I think, is going to be that guy that tries to stretch this thing.
Hey, he's swinging for the fence and trying to gain a whole lot of points there. That's the big payout. This is a high risk, high reward, because if it works, he may very well win this race, because he's still sitting 27 seconds ahead of Landon Lacey on track right now. One more pit stop. Man, he might pull this off, because looking at 29 laps now since the last time he pitted. We got 29 laps to go now.
Yeah, if anybody pulls this off, it is Kyle Spees. He is the only one that has not pitted this time around, and it looks like he will pull in right now. So we will see if maybe he can stretch this thing 29 laps, and that's what it's going to take. Now, if he slows down a little bit, throttles that thing, uses or clutches that thing, if he can do that, then he might have the winning strategy. But as it sits, Seth Berger coming around the turn, and he is going to take the lead coming across that start-finish line.
And the hard part for Kyle in that, we talk about clutching it and getting the engine killed and just kind of using the momentum of the car instead of using the throttle. There's not a whole lot of time around this track where you're completely off the throttle. You'll have the entry into 1 where you'll be completely off it. Turn 2 is so quick, there's not really any time to really do that. In turn 3, there's a lot of guys that are going to still be on the throttle just a little bit. So it's going to be real hard to shut the engine off, to clutch that thing and really save that much fuel. For Kyle Spees, he's going to have to let off the throttle way early into the turn and just kind of be knowing he's going to be slow on the track, giving up a lot of time. But the payoff is he's going to be saving those 40 seconds on pit road.
Well, here's an issue. Kyle Spees apparently had some damage. He was in pit lane for 55 seconds. So that entire strategy out the window now for Kyle Spees, as he got some damage repaired under that pit stop. So Seth Berger now has the inside line on this thing, but he is getting tracked down very quickly by Landon Lacey.
Well, we'll take all that talk that we had about Kyle Spees, I guess, as he gets put a lap down.
Throw it out the window.
But meanwhile, about to be side by side, I think Seth Berger and Landon Lacey. Lacey had a good run. He's going to choose not to make that push going into turn 2. Discretion being the better part of valor on that one, I suppose, as we watch James Holzer just behind Kyle Spies. So that's just one car to pass there for Holzer to get back into this race for the lead. That's not going to be for position, though, as nose to tail for the lead. Berger and Lacey within about a tenth of a second going through 3.
I'm going to be honest. If I'm Landon Lacey here, I sit back behind this guy and I just wait. And the reason why is save your stuff. Save it up. Save that fuel. Save everything you possibly can right now. Just stay behind him. Just relax. You're going to have the better tires when it comes to the end if you just relax back there. But if you jump out into the lead, you're going to burn your stuff up as well as burn more fuel. And so maybe this is a strategy for Landon Lacey to just kind of tuck in, just use that draft, use that free little bit of help there, and just go for it.
And a lot of the time, I would think, that's going to be a little bit of a gamble, because if you feel you're faster, get around them, pull away. But here, the draft does help, especially when we're in a bit of a fuel mileage race. The other big piece of that is who are the 2 cars position-wise that are behind, or 3 cars that are behind Landon Lacey. Oh, they're his teammates. They're not going to be really threatening him for that position. And if they catch up, it's just more motivation that they can line up and get back to that 1, 2, 3, 4 position that they had by working together and making that pass for the lead.
Exactly. So, and this is where that team racing aspect comes in, where you can work with your team, where you can get this strategy all put together. And Seth Berger, while he does have an incredible team in tank racing, they are second place in the points. He does not have any teammates up there helping him out. And because of that, he is going to have to burn as much as he possibly can just to try to hold on to that lead.
The thing that Seth won't want to hear this, but the thing I kind of want to see happen is if he falls back just a little bit. We got those 4 next level cars lined up. Then all of a sudden, aside from David Duke, you're looking at a bunch of tank drivers. You can have Berger, Cortez, Schaefer, Zimmerman, 2 of those being independents but still affiliated, going 4 on 4 against those 4 next level drivers. We could see a real interesting race if they all get lined up. Problem with that is Seth Berger's going to have to lose a few positions to make that happen.
Yeah, and Kyle Spies is going to get back on the lead lap the hard way as he gets his newly fresh car after all those repairs. And he gets back out in front. But while he does that, Landon Lacey follows him right through and takes the lead away from Seth Berger for the time being.
Yeah, that is a painful moment there for Seth Berger, because not only letting somebody get back on the lead lap that strategy-wise could be a factor in this race, but in the process, it opened the door for Landon Lacey to get by, and as he gets by, it opens the door for James Holzer, and as Holzer gets by, Timothy Latham is going to be right there, so we might see this little bit of a freight train going by, though Berger doing a great job of cutting off that run, getting to the inside and making that block. But he's in a very bad position there with the cars surrounding him as he's second, and the 3 cars around him are all Next Level Motorsports.
I'm going to throw something out there really interesting. We talked about it a little bit before with Kyle Spies coming into pit so late there. Now that he's back on the lead lap, I'm wondering if maybe he still can stretch this thing and how close he could make it if he doesn't pit. Because, you can pit stop under green here and not lose a lap, but it's close. And so if Kyle can get a little bit of distance here, he might have a shot at this thing.
It's a catch-22, though. He can make it the rest of the way if he conserves, but by having to pull away, he's going to be losing that conserving of the fuel. And so I don't think he would be able to do both at the same time. I think the big question is, should a caution come out? If it's late in the run, he's going to have to stop, I think. I don't know, unless he wants to try that gamble on old tires. But if we have a caution come out here pretty soon, he could possibly stay out. A few green flag laps on those tires, it does have some effect, but it's not a massive effect. Could stay out and maybe just gain a lot of position and hang on. But I don't know if he can do both of pulling away here, making up the gap that he'll need to make it work on no stops while everybody else has to pit and kind of playing that game. I don't think he can do that while conserving the fuel.
And one thing's for sure, this has been a much cleaner race than the first two races we had here in the Truck Series and in the Xfinity Series. Obviously, these cars have a little bit more downforce. These drivers have a lot more experience, and so that definitely plays a factor. But, I mean, kind of going through this list, we've talked about the top 10 a lot this race. Let's jump back a little bit. We've got Kyle Benson back here in 13th position. James Shanewolf, who's one of our Xfinity drivers who jumped up just for this race, so he's back in 14th. Looks like we got David Duke coming in for a pit stop, unscheduled. Or is it unscheduled? Maybe this is his way of, let's go ahead and get the fuel now.
He's got takers behind him, at least one.
That's his teammate.
Josh Siegfried in the 60, another R&D driver. Yeah, I think he's thinking, you know what, this race has gotten stretched out. There's no real side-by-side racing. I'm going to make this stop now, make up a whole bunch of time, and just see what happens here. Ooh. He's not going to lose that lap, but he shouldn't, at least, unless it's a slow stop. It's a gamble, but it might work just fine because he can definitely make it the rest of the way, and he's the only one of the leaders that can say that. Yeah,
and Landon Lacey, you cannot come into the pits right now to try to block this move. You cannot give up that track position like this. And so because of that, Landon Lacey is kind of stuck in his own strategy while David Duke is stuck with his. And David Duke is going to go a lap down. It looks, looks like he's going to stay on that lead lap. I thought he might lose a lap there. Oh, we got more takers.
Devin Zimmerman, looks like Reese Schaefer in as well. So we're seeing Tank counter that move, or at least Tank-affiliated drivers on some of these, making that move as well, blocking that undercut from this side. And Next Level Motorsports kind of sitting there on an island now, because now you're going to be thinking, all right, more and more people are doing this. We might have to do it. But that's 2 laps that have gone by, and it's not going to be a full 2-second drop-off, but it's going to be at least a second and a quarter at this point in the run.
This is interesting strategy here, especially now that everybody has gotten really lined up and gotten some distance between them. I mean, if you're Next Level Motorsports, you've got to pay attention to it, and you have to either decide, okay, we're going to go all out and go into complete fuel-saving mode here, or you have to actually run it. Now, if they go into fuel-saving mode, Seth Berger is still out there pushing for that lead. But if they don't go into fuel-saving mode, then they could be in trouble.
And I think fuel-saving mode's out the window. I don't think they can make it 31 laps and get to that distance. We were talking about Kyle Spies possibly making 29, and that being a stretch. Adding an extra 5 miles is asking a whole lot. That's an extra gallon of fuel at speed around Pocono. I think at this point, it's too late. They have to stay out. And the other part about that is you don't want to give up all that track position, especially if you're up near the front. A caution comes out, you're going to be buried back there a little bit. And so that's just a real tough situation they got put into, and I think that was as good of a move that anybody could make, from R&D kind of leading that undercut move and really making things awkward for these guys up front.
I mean, just to put it into perspective here, so David Duke, currently he is 44.3 seconds behind on the track, but that is going away very quickly, so quick enough to be noticeable for sure. And if these guys come into pit, they're going to lose, a good 35 to 40 seconds on pit road.
Yeah, you're looking at about 40 seconds on pit road for sure, compared to cars at speed. It's not total time on pit road. It's just the amount of gap lost. And so if David Duke gets within 35 seconds or so, and this race stays green the rest of the way, he's all of a sudden going to be the front runner in this race. And depending on how many laps are left, as there you see it, about a second quicker on this last lap. Depending on how many laps are left when these lead cars make that stop, I'm not too sure they can make up the ground in the time remaining. If it's 35 seconds, you're looking at them being 5+ seconds back. By the time they get up to speed, maybe closer to 7 or 8, that's going to be a tough spot for them to be in.
And we're waiting to see how far back how much time David Duke gains as he crosses the start-finish line here, so we can see if this move is still paying off for him. But again, he's 43 seconds behind, so he's already gained a second since the last time we even discussed it. And as he's going to come across the start-finish line, we will see. I think he's probably going to be like 1.2 seconds up. And there, 1.1 seconds. faster than Landon Lacey and the leaders right now. So definitely swinging for the fences here. And Landon Lacey, James Holzer, they're going to have to figure out in their chat, what are we going to do about this?
If this works, and if there's 5, 6, 7 laps to go when they make their pit stop, those next level, and Seth Berger as well, and Vincent Cortez in that mix too, staying out. If they wait till 7, 8 laps to go, make that stop, it's going to be tight on if they can make up the ground to catch back up to all these guys that made this undercut move, led by David Duke. David Duke might be the front runner in this race right now.
Now, he does have Reese Schaefer in front of him that made the same move just one lap later, along with Devin Zimmerman. So right now, Reese Schaefer is actually probably the one in the catbird seat because, again, one lap fresher tires and has about a 4-second lead on David Duke. So I think Reese Schaefer in that 17 might be the one to beat as Landon Lacey comes down into pit road away from his teammates.
They're going to go with and you know what? This is kind of a little Formula One inspired idea, I think. He's going to come in and take a shot at pulling and making this stop early. They're going to come out with different strategies, though, to try to cover the field on this and see what'll happen. I kind of like this idea. If that is what they're doing, just going at it and trying to attack it from different ways and see if you can get at least the team to hang on to a great position at the end of the night.
Well, Seth Berger has the lead right now, and he is holding off those Next Level Motorsports cars as James Holzer is putting on that pressure, trying to get him to use his stuff up. Another car that came down, Russ Bovair from Ramsey Cole Motorsports. Ramsey Cole Racing. Sorry about that. I totally spaced on their name. It was right on the screen in front of me. James Holzer and Timothy Latham coming down into pit road along with Nick Goen. So one lap later, I'm not sure if that was a miscommunication or if they did that on purpose.
Yeah, that kind of throws a wrench into what I was thinking that they were doing by going with different strategies. But, yeah, that's possible. They might have said, hey, next time come in. And maybe Landon just thought, oh, right, coming in. And just kind of misheard or miscommunicated in some fashion. Or I could just be completely wrong on that. But a little interesting how they went about that. And also kind of curious, they waited 6, 7 laps after that undercut was moved. It was pulled on them. So that's an awkward position. They're going to be a little bit quicker, but it's going to be maybe a half second or so at this point with so little wear put on those tires from those that started the pit sequence here.
Yeah, we're going to find out exactly how far back they are as James Holzer just gets out of the pits. Landon Lacey passes him along with the rest of these guys. So, I mean, this really broke up Next Level Motorsports a lot more than I think they wanted. Seth Berger coming down now.
Yep, so we're going to see Vincent Cortez is going to be behind him on pit road. So everybody making their stops among those leaders that we've been keeping an eye on in this race. It's going to cycle through to Scott Kowal being back out front for the second time here in this race. James Shainwolf is going to be in second, and Emerson Ardon is going to round out the top 3 as they're going to be staying out here a little bit. And they were all some of the later drivers to make that stop. They might be trying to gamble or at least just run this until it runs dry and hope they catch a caution.
Man, so much stuff going on as the leader of the race, Landon Lacey, who led a lot of this race, back there in 9th position now, 22 seconds behind the lead. But if you just look from 6th place back, so 6th place is Reese Schaefer, who pitted 5 laps before Landon Lacey. Then Landon is about 2.5 seconds back from Reese Schaefer. So he's got to fight the traffic, and he's got to get back up there with Reese. This is probably the best strategy anybody could have pulled on Next Level Motorsports.
Yeah, this turns out to look absolutely brilliant. And if there was no other cars between them, I would think that Landon Lacey would catch Reese Schaefer by the end of this thing and get by. But the fact that he's going to have to get by other cars in the process, that's going to make it difficult on Landon Lacey as Seth Berger getting around Schaefer. Berger with those 7-lap fresher tires, putting those to use. And remember, that's going to be about a half second or so faster each time around here. So Seth Berger sitting in a fantastic position now because he's pretty level on tire freshness when it comes to Landon Lacey and the rest of the Next Level guys. So this is, man, Seth Berger might be the winner out of this. literally and figuratively out of this strategy call.
Not only that, not only does he have to pass a couple drivers to get to Seth Berger, but those drivers are Seth Berger's teammates, so they are not going to make it easy for Landon Lacey to get past, just like Landon Lacey and his teammates didn't make it easy for anybody to get past them either. So, man, this is just going to be a really, really exciting finish to this race, as we believe that Scott Kalal in these top 5 all have to still pit at least one more time, but Seth Berger on fresh tires up there in 6th position, it is going to be tough for anybody to catch him.
Yeah, I mean, they should very well have to pit one more time here for those top 5 guys. I just can't see them stretching it far enough without a caution being involved. But they're going to try it at least, or at least hope that a caution comes out and just stretch this as long as they can. And remember a while back I said for Seth Berger, your hope is going to be you might have to give up a couple spots in the process, but to get lined up with your Tank Racing teammates, oh, there they are, 6, 7, 9, and then you have another one in 13th with Cortez. Emerson Arden out of Tank in 4th. Like, they got pretty well lined up to counter that run that Next Level Motorsports is having.
Well, I got to tell you, Landon Lacey got around those two teammates really, really quickly. And so now he is on the move trying to track down Seth Berger. And you can see there that Seth is actually the slower of the two drivers, even though we're showing that he pitted a couple laps later. And so not really sure why he's, 0.2 of a second slower than Landon Lacey on fresher tires. But yeah, here we are.
It could just be that, cold tires getting them up to speed, maybe just a little bit less confidence in those, in the grip that you have. You do kind of slide around a little bit. There's a lot of downforce in these cars, but it does handle a little awkward for the first couple laps or so that might be part of it. Landon Lacey also could just be driving the wheels off that thing. As we got 3 wide, almost 4 wide out of turn number 3, and they are going to make it work, and that is going to be a huge sigh of relief for some of these guys, including Seth Berger and Landon Lacey.
Yeah, Michael Politis there in the number 8 car. He is in second place on the board. He's still about 5.5 seconds behind first place Scott Kalal, although they are both on the same tires here. That number 37 there, not really, that is Raul Meza from Striker Motorsports. He is a lap down, so he is just trying to work his way back onto the lead lap after pitting on lap 61. So he's going to try to get that lap back at some point from Scott Kalal here about 5 seconds in front of him, but it's going to be a rough time for him to do that. As we jump back, Landon Lacey, he is 1 second behind Seth Berger. His teammate James Holzer 1.5 seconds behind him. So what we are thinking is going to happen is all these top 5 cars are going to have to pit at some point, which will allow Seth Berger, Landon Lacey, James Holzer, Timothy Latham, Reese Schaefer to be your top 5.
Yeah, I would say about 98% likely that the race for the lead or the race for the win is going to be in that battle for 6th right now, led by Seth Berger. I just can't see those top 5 making it without a caution happening. But Seth Berger still trying to hold off Landon Lacey, and those times have leveled off just a little bit. We're about 1.1 seconds the gap. It's not falling at the rate that it was a few laps ago.
And Seth's teammate, Max Service, is going to get out of the way, let Seth go. And again, he can make this difficult on Landon Lacey to pass him. Right in front of Seth is Emerson Ardon, another one of his teammates. So again, he can get past Emerson pretty cleanly here, and Emerson can kind of not block. We're not going to say block, but he can make it hard for Landon Lacey to do anything. But Landon makes short work there of Max Service, and he's going to make short work here of Emerson Ardon as well.
Yeah, just the difference in the tire wear at that point. They're going to be about 1.5 to 2 seconds a lap slower. Just going to be real hard with how much width is on this track for them to actually kind of affect Landon Lacey's pace there. So that not too much of a surprise just with how old those tires are for those guys. But Seth Berger still trying to hold on to that positioning. He's about 0.9 of a second ahead of Landon Lacey, who continues to be a little bit faster, about 0.2 that last time by with 8 to go. There's time for Lacey to make that move and get back in front of Berger for what should be the win.
I mean, 8 laps to go. If you're one of these top 5 cars, are you even pitting?
Not until the gas runs out, or until I'm down to maybe if I'm not going to make it all the way back around and there's no shot at it, then yeah, I'll pit. But up until that point, no, I'm staying out as long as humanly possible.
Well, Seth Berger, Landon Lacey are now third and fourth position on the track also. They are tracking down Michael Politis extremely quickly here. And so they're about a second behind Michael Politis there for the second place on the track. Now, if Scott Kalal can stay out there for another 7 laps, he might be able to hold these guys off. We'll have to see, but that is very, very unlikely at this point, as Seth gets down to the inside of Jordan Sailors, and he will put him another lap down. And he is going to start working on Michael Politis here. And Landon Lacey, it doesn't look like he's charging nearly as hard as he was a few laps ago.
No, definitely leveled out in that interval gap this time, as we're only looking at now, 1/100th of a second 3 laps ago, 2/10 on lap 67, and only 1/10 on the other way around in favor of Seth Berger on lap 68. So this race for that, what should be the win, leveling out a good bit, as Seth Berger still about 8-9 tenths of a second ahead. Now he's got the third place car, Michael Politis, between him and Landon Lacey, which will give a little bit of help, because Politis is going to be really trying to hang on to that position as best as he can, and I think Lacey's going to catch him as they get to turn 2, and I'm not too sure that I would be wanting to make that pass around somebody on old tires going into turn 2, as Lacey's going to take that look to the inside and try to make that 8 car of Politis very uncomfortable on old tires on the outside in the tunnel turn.
Yeah, man, he is going to get that position going into the turn as he tries desperately to catch up to Seth Berger. 7/10 of a second separate them, 6 laps to go. Just not sure if he's going to have it.
And they are quickly closing in on Scott Kalal. They're about 2 seconds a lap faster than the 23, who's continuing to stay out as he has since lap number 45. So we're getting near the end of the run there for him, as we're about 24 laps since that pit stop for Scott Kalal. The gas about to run out here probably in the next couple of laps, as we have not had a caution since that point. And now only 1/4 of a second away for Seth Berger to take the lead outright.
Lacey still the faster car on the track, and so Seth Berger not only has to get past Scott Kalal here, but he has to contend with a car that's a little bit faster than him that will eventually be in second place, as Seth Berger finally takes that lead away from Scott Kalal as they enter the turn.
And he got that just in time, too. I was worried for Berger's case if he was going to have to be side-by-side, lose a little bit of time there at an awkward point in turn 2, but he got that cleared and just had a good straight shot off the turn, kept that momentum. If they were side-by-side, that would have really reeled in Landon Lacey behind him.
With 5 laps to go, coming to 4 laps to go here, the interval is still 6/10 of a second. So Lacey is going to have to pull off some really good laps here as Michael Politis finally gives up and goes into the pits to get those tires and fuel.
Yeah, that was a valiant attempt, and it was worth a shot. Everybody came in. You were one of the last ones to make that pit stop. You might as well just try for it, and especially in Politis' case, no points really on the line here, being an independent, running up the division here this time. So not too much of a shock that he's gave it that shot. Scott Kalal in a similar position, trying to make up as many points as he can, doing the same strategy for a different reason. Now, I can't hate on that idea that any of those guys made, just hoping that a caution would come out.
And James Holzer has passed Scott Kalal for 3rd place on the track, but still up front, Seth Berger trying to hold on to this lead as it has been cut down to 1/2 a second.
See some real tight racing there in the background as Timothy Latham right on the back bumper of the 23 is Scott Kalal. Meanwhile, Landon Lacey reeling in about 1/10 of a second that last time by. 3 laps to go. It's 45/100ths of a second, and there's no draft help in front of Seth Berger. He might be a sitting duck if Lacey gets a little momentum off the turn.
Well, Lacey's still right there at that 1/2 second mark, so he has not been able to close the gap, as it looks like Seth Berger trying to dive to the inside just to kind of cut off that draft a little bit as much as possible on Landon Lacey. Whew, this is going to get tight as we are coming to 2 to go.
Big thing to keep an eye on these last couple of times through this 2.5 mile triangle track. Really watch the exit of turn 3. If Landon Lacey gets a great run off of 3, builds up that momentum, he's got nearly a mile of straightaway in front of him that he can use that draft. And Berger's doing a great job of trying to cut that draft out by moving that side-by-side kind of deal around that racetrack. You see that a lot on Indy cars going around tracks like Pocono and Indianapolis, trying to break the draft. That time by, all the momentum off of 3 went to Landon Lacey. He picked up about 2/10 of a second down that straightaway.
Yeah, and as we're coming out of turn 2 here, so it looks like we're down to 0.3 of a second now. So we have, and it's getting closer and closer as Landon Lacey has jumped into that draft, and now he is going to be right on the tail of Seth Berger as we're going to be coming to the white flag this time around.
Berger continues to be faster through turn 2, but he's giving up a little bit of time on the exit of 3 and all the way through turn number 1. So about half the track plays in favor of Berger, half the track plays in favor of Lacey, and we only got about 3 miles to settle it.
Here we go as we're going to cross the line for that white flag. It is all the way down to 0.2 of a second as Landon Lacey right up on the bumper of Seth Berger right now. Oh, this is going to be crazy on this last lap.
I would not count out Latham or Holzer with how tight this racing is. There's plenty of space, but they are going for it here for the win at Pocono. Lacey looking for his 3rd win of the season. Berger looking for his 1st, and they're tight down that straightaway.
Lacey dives to the inside so he can get that inside line. He is going to push up the track, and he is going to pass Seth Berger going through 2.
That's going to open up a slingshot, though, because Berger can get the run off that draft. If he gets a good run out of 3, this could still be wide open for Seth Berger to make a pass right before the line.
And here we go. Seth Berger's going to try to make it stick as he gets right on the bumper. Not going to get there just yet. He's going to still try to stay to the inside, but Landon Lacey is going to take this victory here at the tricky 185.
What a race. So many different strategies, so many different leaders that we saw because of those strategies today. Saw a handful of drivers leading some laps here at Pocono, and in the end, it came to Next Level Motorsports, 4 of the top 5, but Seth Berger, a valiant effort trying to hang on to that first win, unable to do so, but came so close. What a race here at this 2.5 mile triangle.
So Landon Lacey goes back-to-back and 3 of the last 4 races as the winner here, as he and Next Level Motorsports put on yet another show. And Landon Lacey takes the lead on the last lap to get it done here at Pocono.
And kind of touching back a little bit here, David Duke, the first one that made that pit stop and kind of started that odd strategy that really worked out for a lot of guys. He's going to hang on to a top 10, finishing in 9th. So that undercut worked very well for a lot of guys. The result still stays the same for Landon Lacey. He was the leader when it started, holds on to get the win. But, man, that race got real interesting with about 18 to go when people really started swinging for the fence on a whole lot of different ideas.
Yeah, and Landon Lacey gets a well-deserved trip to Donutville here.
You see a whole baker's dozen of them here as he's got some good momentum on these donuts here. A whole lot of space, 6 lanes, 7 lanes worth of space on that front stretch here at Pocono, and he's going to park it on the start-finish line and collect the virtual flag. You can't see it, but he collected it, as he's now going to get that burnout and plenty of room there down that basically that airplane landing pad for everybody there. That's a long straightaway to get that good burnout.
What a race, what a finish. That is not typically the type of finish you see at Pocono, where we have a last lap change of lead. It's just not something that's that common. So that was a lot of fun to see that good of a race. And so congratulations to all the Cup drivers for putting on such a great race here tonight.
Fantastic race. Had 20 drivers finishing on the lead lap out of the 29, and honestly, we saw 17 cautions on our first 2 races this week, and the 105 laps that we had for the trucks and Xfinity. We only saw 2 here tonight, the last one being on lap 15, so we had a 60-lap run of all green flag racing to end it.
Well, let's take a look at our final results here as Landon Lacey takes that victory for Next Level Motorsports. Seth Berger there in second with a valiant effort, and man, just we thought he had it the entire way. So second place for Seth Berger for Tank Racing. Then the next 3, all Next Level Motorsports: Timothy Latham, James Holzer, Nick Gowen. That rounds out your top 5.
In sixth place, we had Vincent Cortez, the top driver that bumped up from the Xfinity Series here this week. Reese Schaefer out of Tank Racing in seventh. Scott Kalal for Revved Racing in eighth. David Duke representing R&D Motorsports in ninth. And also out of the Xfinity Series, Devin Zimmerman rounding out the top 10.
Yeah, John Honeycutt from Murray Reedy Smith Road Racing in 11th. His teammate Kyle Benson in 12th. Emerson Ardon for Tank Racing in 13th. Joshua Siegfried from R&D Motorsports in 14th. Max Service from Tank Racing there in 15th.
Couple of other drivers moving up to the Cup Series this week. Michael Politis and James Shanewoolf in 16th and 17th. Craig Lautenslager will finish 18th. 19th will go to Raul Meza. And Kyle Spies rounding out the top 20 and the final driver on the lead lap.
Man, if you just look at that top 8 or top 7 there, so all of those, including Vincent Cortez, who drives for Tank Racing in the Xfinity Series, so all of those are either Next Level Motorsports or Tank Racing. So if you need to learn how to drive in a Cup car, talk to these guys because they are just on fire here in the Cup Series.
And you can make it 8 out of the top 10, throwing Devin Zimmerman into that mix as well. Just these two teams, Tank and Next Level, when it comes to the Cup Series, they have just been trading just uppercuts at each other in this 12-round title fight. Right now, the edge on those scorecards going to Next Level Motorsports, though.
Well, let's jump into our interviews here and bring Timothy Latham up here into the booth. Timothy, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth, buddy. How's it going?
Going pretty good.
Great race out there tonight. A lot of different strategies going on. How did it look from your view?
It looked great. You know, we were poised out front the whole time, and I was proud of the guys tonight. We all finished in the top 5, and man, just a great race. Seth had that strategy there at the end. I think he took 2 tires on his pit stop and then was out way ahead of everybody, and I think that gave him a pretty huge advantage there. But yeah, I mean, great race all around. I don't think I was ever outside the top 5 or 10 outside of pit stops.
And one thing, I mean, you talk about the strategy there for Seth Berger, but I mean, there was a whole bunch of different strategies that we saw. With about 20 laps to go, we saw some guys come in on a really early undercut. Some tried to stretch that out. And in the end, your team still sitting there for the top 5 spots. How do y'all just continue to just stay out in front week to week?
I mean, it's all repetitions. We do a lot of practice together. We do a lot of practice in the race sessions here. We're usually some of the first people that are in here, and you got to keep the grind going, and it pays off. That's for sure.
Well, man, we've got that grind still going as we head into Darlington next week. How confident are you in not just your ability there, but your team?
I think we can all do good. I know I'm pretty good there most of the time. I think I could probably get another top 5 for sure. I think my team's good enough that we could pretty much be good anywhere. I don't think we have a weak track in the schedule coming up. So I think we can contend the whole way.
Well, man, is there anybody you'd like to thank before we let you get back down to celebrating?
Yeah, just, thank my team. We put in the work and the results came to us. Thank you guys for putting on the broadcast, and thank Raise Energy, Rep Sports, all those guys, and let them, put their stuff on my car. And I'm glad. I think this is my first interview of the year so far, so I'm kind of glad to be back where I was last year.
Good to have you back, man. Well, congratulations on a 3rd place finish. We'll see you next week at Darlington, and get back down there with your team. Celebrate another great race and great win for your team.
All right, appreciate it, guys.
All right, we'll drop him back down into his chat room there as let's go talk to Seth Berger, who I'm sure is disappointed, but definitely a fantastic race for him as we bring him up into the booth right now. Hey, Seth, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth. How's it going, buddy? Hello, Seth, Sean, and Brandon up in the booth. You got a copy? Okay, we might not have Seth Berger up here in the booth. Not really sure why that would be. So let me. I'm going to drop him back down into his chat just really briefly here. And before we go into our next interview or try to get Seth back in here one more time, let's talk one more time because we do have that Revved Up for the Cause race that's coming up this week, this Saturday, September 11th. Be sure not to miss it, whether you're driving in it or whether you're watching it. What a great cause, and we'll have everybody out here on the racetrack having a good time.
Yeah, that's for sure great cause. That QR code, just pull up the camera on your phone, point that at that QR code. That'll take you to the website for more information, and also for the ability to donate if you are able to do so. We definitely encourage that, and thankful for anybody that does.
Well, we're going to try one more time here really quick to see if we can get Seth Berger up here into the chat. We're going to try it one more time. Hey, Seth, this is Sean and Brandon up in the booth. Nope, looks like we lost him there. Let's try it one more time here. Hey, Seth, this is Sean and Brandon. How's it going?
Heartbroken, man.
I know, man. We were definitely rooting for you there. We have to be unbiased, obviously, but, man, we thought that you had the strategy to do it there. But tell us about your race.
Oh, man, everyone's so equal with this draft package, man, that you kind of get lucky there at the end. And that's already happened at a few other tracks with me. I've been on the bad end of losing track position at the wrong times, and then now having a shot at the win. But I don't know how I had an amazing pit stop in the first green flag pit stops and pulled out seconds in front of everybody else. But with the draft, people were just able to catch up, and then stuck with the lead pack, and they all pitted. And I stayed out a couple more laps. I didn't even want to, but luckily I had another amazing pit stop and put me out front, man. And just, I just didn't have that single car pace. Lacey was a lot faster than me. I was surprised I was holding him off that long. It hurts more that I held him off that long, but yeah, it was all about teamwork, man. It's frustrating, but it's super cool to see all the teamwork that was happening out there. I mean, you saw Next Level working together, Tank was working together. That was our game plan going in, try to help out each other as much as possible. And I just wish I had a little bit more help there at the end, but I'm not sure if that would have been the difference maker. But yeah, that last run, oh man, I was driving like I stole the win, man. And yeah, he was just faster. And then that was that, man. I made him earn it though, so that's all I could say. And I'm happy with the second place, my best finish ever.
Well, it was definitely a valiant effort there, still getting that reward with the second place finish, and really helping out Tank, and a lot of the things that we were talking about tonight was just how it's really felt like one of those 12-round heavyweight title fights there with Tank and Next Level at this point. Y'all just controlling the field, y'all just drivers, including Vincent Cortez, being an independent but still affiliated, making up the entire top 7 tonight. This team battle has been fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's definitely been awesome, man. Trust me, we definitely recognize the battle between us and Next Level. They're on the next level, man. It's in their name. But Tank fights hard, man. We're built Tank tough, and we keep fighting no matter what.
Well, man, we are headed into Darlington next week. But before we get you back down to your team and head that way, would you like to thank anybody here tonight?
I would just like to thank all Burger Nation for watching and supporting. I really appreciate all their support through all this. And I also got to thank Liftworks Incorporated and Dan DeStasio for getting the sponsorship done and helping me race this season. I also got to thank Star Tool and Die Works, Healthcare Billing Incorporated, Raise Energy, Hunter Don Anesthesia Associates, ButcherBox, Teespring, Common Sense Supplements, Invaders and Designs, and all of my tank racing teammates.
Well, man, you've got a lot of good teammates there, a lot of good friends and sponsors, and definitely a lot of guys out there, a lot of guys and gals out there in the chat that are always rooting for you every week with Burger Nation. So congratulations on your best finish ever here in Speed Racing Network. We'll get you back down to your team to keep on celebrating. Next week, bring it home, buddy.
All right, thank you. There's a win coming, I promise.
Bring it. We'd love to see it. Take care, bud.
All right, you too.
All right, well, let's head on down to Landon Lacey, who, I mean, we will get his chair that is up here in the booth anyway because he's one of our broadcast partners. We will get it all warmed up. Landon Lacey, your chair is warm. How's it going, buddy?
Oh boy, I'm telling you, that was one hell of a race.
Man, you don't see races like that where there's a last lap pass. And one question I've got for you is there on the pit strategy, we saw you come in a lap earlier than your teammates. Was that by design or did something kind of not mesh? Be honest.
To be honest with you, I love my teammates, man, but it's getting close to that playoff crunch time. James had a pretty big lead on me. So no lies aside, I tried to undercut just a bit. I knew they were pitting 60, coming to 61. so I undercut them by 1 lap. I think they still would have kept up with me if the traffic wouldn't have been so bad after we came out of pit road. But yeah, that was my strategy. I hate to be that way, but sometimes in racing you got to run your own race, so to say.
Well, hey, I mean, you got all the momentum going your way, and still, even with that, 4 of the top 5 spots made up of next-level drivers, but, still looking ahead, you got 5 races left in the regular season. You're moving up into a strong position now with your 3rd win in the last 4 races. How you feeling about possibly making it 4 out of 5 next week at Darlington?
I'm kind of glad I've gotten 3. Darlington's going to be a little rough for me, not one of my better tracks. I can actually say that for 1 week that I don't have a track that we're going to that I'm positively good at. But I think we could still come out of there with a top 5, but I don't think I'll have a race-winning car.
Well, man, I mean, you've had 3 of the last 4 races as victories here, and yeah, you decided to switch into the Cup Series just a little bit late in the season, but it seems to suit you. What is the difference between these cars and the Xfinity cars that just makes you so good?
I just think the aero package with this car suits me better. The Xfinity cars, like we've talked about before, are more of a driver's car. They don't have as much downforce. And to be honest with you, I don't think I was doing bad in the Xfinity series. I just wasn't having any good luck in the Xfinity series. And it just seems like since I moved up to the Cup Series, everything's gone right and not much has gone wrong. Like last week winning at Richmond, I think last season at Richmond I wrecked out lap 3. So just a difference in luck this season in the Cup Series, and just having some good teammates as well. I mean, having these guys that we have on Next Level Motorsports, the practice we put in throughout the week really helps me when it comes to race day.
Well, who do you have to thank here tonight? I know this is kind of getting to be a weekly thing, but who you got?
Well, first off, I want to give a shout out to the families of the 13 service members that lost their life in the terrorist attack in Kabul. Wasn't able to run their names on my car this week, but thank you to Mid-South Coating Company for allowing me to at least run a little bit of a different paint scheme. That's 2 weeks in a row that Mid-South has given up a little bit for me to run specialized paint schemes. So thank you very much to Mid-South Coating Company for all that they do for me. Like I said, Next Level Motorsports, thanks to all those guys. Thank you guys up in the broadcast booth for keeping my seat warm for me. And pretty much other than that, thank you to everybody that's gotten me here to this point.
Well, as always, when you get the win here, we get you a winner sticker. So if you see your screen right now, we are putting that winner sticker on the board. We're going to have to figure out a little bit more location here for these winner stickers. They are taking up the entire screen. But again, congratulations on your 3rd win of the season here in the Cup Series. Man, we're going to let you get right back to the celebrating so me and Brandon can finish this thing off.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All right, buddy. Have a good night.
Yes, sir. You too.
Well, Brandon, what a great race that we had here tonight. And I mean, just can't wait until the next one. And the next one is our throwback race. We love doing these things because our drivers come up with the best paint schemes from back in the day. We're going to do that here at Darlington Raceway.
Yeah, didn't quite get that in real life this time around, with the throwback weekend being earlier in the season. The playoffs, they wanted to keep the main sponsors out there. The car's looking the same, but we have the luxury of being able to be a little different as we go to Darlington this coming week. A whole lot of throwback schemes. We've seen the previews in the Discord channel and all that. That some of these cars and some of these trucks, they have some fantastic paint schemes on the way. I'm a little biased. I think my Grid Finder Camaro in the Xfinity Series is going to look pretty good. But there's a whole lot of cool paint schemes. And, oh, by the way, it's Darlington. Probably the toughest track we'll have all season for some racing. And hopefully we keep it clean like it was tonight. We see some fantastic racing there on that difficult, uneven, lopsided track out in South Carolina.
I'm going to tell you, man, I highly, highly doubt it. That Darlington stripe is going to be getting bigger and bigger because we're going to start it off with the truck series for the Throwback 125. So, again, throwback paint schemes on these trucks. And like you said, we have seen possibly 50 to 60 different paint schemes this week in the Discord channels in preparation for these races. So do not miss next week. If you watch one more race for the rest of the season, watch next week, because there's going to be a lot of throwbacks.
A lot of throwbacks, a lot of cool little tributes to people's favorite drivers growing up, or even just favorite paint schemes that they've seen, or paint schemes to kind of mirror what they have now, or things that work with their car number. I know mine is one of my favorite drivers coming up, and when I was growing up, and it just so happens number 20 was available for me to use, so works pretty well for mine. You'll see that one on Thursday, but there's a whole lot of trucks on Wednesday that are going to have some cool throwback paint schemes as well.
You drive in an orange and black car, the number 20. I have no idea who you could possibly be, but we will figure that all out this next week. Man, it has been a great race here tonight. Great time here at Pocono. One of my favorite tracks, believe it or not. I absolutely enjoy this track, but it's been a lot of fun out here. But thank you to everybody for coming out and watching this thing. Definitely don't miss next week as we head to Darlington. But for everyone here at Speed Racing Network, for Brandon Domain, for myself, for all the drivers, all the sponsors, and all the admins, thank you so much for watching, and as always, go faster.